And welcome to the January 10th, 2023 somehow, meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals. I now call this meeting to order. Please be advised that FATV is conducting an audio and video recording of this meeting for public broadcast. I ask that anyone else in the audience who is recording this meeting to please identify themselves for the record now by standing and stating their name and address. Seeing none, we are now going to conduct the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. McLaughlin, would you like to lead us? Or Mr. Byrne?
Sure.
Right.
I always
Thank
defer
you.
to the veteran.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Justice for all.
Amen.
8. Thank you very much, Mr. Byrne.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you,
All
sir.
right. So I'm going to conduct a roll call. I'm going to note that Mr. McLaughlin, you are present. Mr. Byrne, you are present. Mr. Chartrand, you are present. And remotely, we have Mr. Gallagher. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. And I can hear you as well.
Great.
The public has been advised to contact the city clerk's office regarding any comments of no more than 2 minutes. In this forum, we invite public comment at the time each hearing is held, so that if you have a comment you would like to make on a matter, then you would be offered the opportunity to comment during the hearing of that matter. For anyone who is here tonight on 1341 Ringe Road, please be advised that it has been continued to the following month, and that is February 14th, 2023. The time designated right now is 6:45 p.m., but I encourage you to monitor the agenda that is publicly posted through the clerk's office for any changes in time prior to the meeting. And so that anybody who wishes to know for any matter can check the agenda. Agendas do have to be posted 48 business hours prior to the meeting, and they are always available online through the City of Fitchburg's website. We're now going to move to the first item on the agenda, calling ZBA 2022-01. This is 47 School Street. Mr. Tran, please approach, and what I'd like you to do is sit at the table up here. Mr. Tran, I know this is the first time you've been to this building, so yes. All right, so have a seat. You'll be able to speak through the microphones there. This is a review of a special permit which has been granted under Section 181.335 of the Fitchburg Zoning Code to convert a single-family home into a two-family dwelling as a modification of a pre-existing non-conforming structure located in Residential B. Mr. Tran, welcome. It is very nice to see you again. What we'd like to do is take an update on your progress with the project, and I think everybody's probably gone by to see what's been going on. And I'm going to go through with you all of the conditions that we had put on the special permit. So I'll go through with you one by one and have you let me know how it's going. But why don't you tell me right now just a little bit about where you are with the project?
Actually, interior on my plumbing with my electrician, they try to wrap it up in a couple more weeks. That's how they told me.
Great.
And for outside, it's only the hand ruling for the deck. So my concern about the ballot, I will email for Kristen and Matt City.
Mm-hmm. You wanted to check and see whether or not the railing was acceptable
Yes.
under what had, okay. So there is a picture that's been submitted. Mr. Barbadoro. If you are able to share your screen and put that picture of the railing up, in particular, I wanted Mr. Gallagher to be able to take a look at it. Right, can you,
I'm attempting to right now.
thank you.
So this is 47 School Street, right?
Right.
I have an image of just one balustrade. Is that what you're looking for?
Yes, please.
Okay. One moment.
Okay. I think we only have one copy of the picture, right? Yes. So. All right. So there was a balustrade there. There were railings there that were very particular. And I know that you were pointed to an example across the street of something similar. These are the exterior ones, the ones on the outside around the front porch, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's the railing. That's for the outside.
Okay.
It's 2 inches.
It's really the style that didn't, the shape. I don't know that that's what was similar to what was there. Mr. Gallagher, do you have a direct recollection?
I do, Christine, thank you. This is actually quite different than what was there originally. I don't know if the board recalls, but the balustrade that is across the street is nearly identical. So if anyone needs to refresh their memory, they can look at the railing across the street. There was also a center design that, again, is almost identical on the house across the street that was in the middle. It was like a floret in the middle in between the balustrade itself. I think that having the resource of having the house directly across the street makes it very doable. This balustrade is 100% different, and I don't feel is in keeping with the style of the house, certainly not historically. So that's what I have to add.
Thank you. Does any other board member on this particular issue have a comment about the balustrade?
Yeah, I'm looking at the picture of it now. That's probably something that you just picked up off the shelf, like from a regular hardware store?
Yeah. The reason I will try call like four different company, they all make like straight like 3 inches to 3.5 inches, all square straight. I say no. We try to look in the detail, but no one they make it. So
Yeah, you may have to have those made. I can't really see them well in this picture, but that's a standards,
Okay.
standards type that would use now. Those ones across the street, they are different, but I don't know if you'll be able to pick them up off the shelf. Those are a little different.
no, I try to get someone they can get a space to make, but try to call like 4 different company. Nobody make it today, so that's why I try to get this see what happened.
I have a picture from when this project started of what was left on there, what that looked like, that I can certainly give you. But this is, so that is not anything like the one that was there. There is a very thick railing in between the posts, and then there is a small
I got that.
piece, and then there's a cutting that goes out through the bottom with some holes.
That I can do it, but I worry about the ballet for the hand ruling. I try to shop in a lot of company. Nobody do it today.
What do you, when you say that, do you mean nobody makes them anymore, or nobody will make them for you?
Don't make it.
Okay. Have you looked into having somebody make it for you?
That I try to make a phone call, like, I think 4 different company. First with Brian, he give me the name of that company they call Bryce. So I call them. They don't do either.
Okay. All right, let's leave this for a moment, and I'd like to go through the rest of the criteria with you and see where you are.
Okay, thank you.
So this is the list that you got in the decision. To be operated as a 2-family with no more than 3 bedrooms per unit.
Correct.
Okay. To be constructed in accordance with your plans. All exterior architectural features to be preserved and repaired in their current state or replaced with an architecturally accurate substitute. I know that there's at least one comment on that, if you wanted to take that at this time, Mr. McLaughlin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Tran, I went to the property a couple of days ago, and, you know, I know part of this, the important part of the board's decision
Yes.
in allowing it to go from a single family to a 2-family was that we wanted to preserve the architecture of the house, okay? So along with the balustrades, okay, which is a very important part of our decision, also the eaves of the roof on the house, it appears as though that some type of material was put over all the rot and it was painted. We would really like that to be repaired properly with the proper trim that matches the building on both sides. If you look at the front of the building on both corners.
Oh, 2 corner there, yeah, I will change that.
What's that?
I will change it. Because somebody wrapped the metal.
Yes.
Yeah, so I had to get some kind of ground molding. I had to make the wood.
Yes, but we would like that
Yes.
repaired with proper trim that matches the
Correct.
building, okay?
Yes,
That was one important thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay. You know, I want to say that these are little nitpicky details, but the little nitpicky details, that's why we gave you the permit, because you were willing to do it. That provided a benefit to the city, and it provides a benefit to you because you get to have a 2-family. So I am sorry that you are having problems, in particular with the balustrade,
Yeah,
you know, getting something accurate. I'd still like to search for a way for you to do that, or at least get a little bit closer than the example that you showed.
okay.
So, the next, does anybody else have a comment on preservation of the architectural features? Okay. The next condition was the exterior color to be historic, and I know that you had modified that. And thank you, the color is wonderful. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
The front stone wall, retaining wall lining the street and the driveway to be repaired, maintaining the same surface materials. The new retaining wall at the driveway to be constructed of similar materials, and fencing adequate to screen the rear and side to be built and maintained on the property. First, I just wanted to talk about the retaining wall that you built.
Yes,
Beautiful.
thank you.
It is beautiful. I appreciate very much the time, effort, and money that went into the construction of that wall and the result on the property. It looks great.
Thank you.
So,
Who did that wall?
LNA, the company.
I think that you're not at that point of the project yet, but the rear wall, just between the neighbor behind, it just needs to be,
Oh, I use that one.
Yeah.
I had to use the power washer later.
yeah,
Yeah, it's like all kind greens from the tree.
yep.
Yes.
So give that a clean and a coat, and I think that'll be good. Does anybody else have a comment on fencing or the stone wall? Okay. Construction to be completed within 12 months, so you still have some time. Do you think that you will need an extension?
My plumbing, right now, only my plumbing, my electrician, they told me they will be done the end of this month.
Okay.
But my big concern, my plumbing will talk with plumbing inspector too. Right now, I get about the gas issue. Before they gun the new gas line to the house, and they put the meter, and then they take away. So now I call them, they say until April, they can turn on the gas.
So the inspector needs to come in order to turn on the gas?
No, I call the gas company.
Okay.
But they won't turn on for me until April.
Until April? Okay.
Yeah.
There's not much we can do to force the gas company to do things. But if you find a way, let me know, because that's a useful power. Property site to be kept clear of debris and construction, and to occur within appropriate hours. I think you have a little material, but it's way at the back of the property. I don't have a particular that anyone else. Yeah.
Yeah, every time all my ladder, my trailer had to go in the storage. Yeah.
Okay. Dumpster to be emptied regularly. How many dumpsters did you need?
No, I get my dump trailer.
Dump trailer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because right now I get just a little trash. I don't need a dumpster in there.
Construction vehicles to be parked off-street.
Correct.
Okay. All debris to be removed upon completion of the project. And then you're here for a review today. So I think, other than the things that are going to be done at the end of the project and the things that you have to keep doing during the project, I think the fascia board that's the particular board we were talking about?
Fascia boards on all the roof lines that are in disrepair and are covered with metal.
Okay.
The other comment I would like to make also is, and again, it's, back to the accommodation of the multifamily. If the set of stairs that goes up to the second floor, if you could paint the underside, if you can completely paint
Oh, yeah.
that.
I do.
Only because that's the
Yeah,
visible
yeah,
part
I know.
by the road. If you could take care of that, that would be great. And if I could just, comment again, I think it's, again, the most important part was the architectural features, and it is going to take a bit of, I think, time on your behalf with regards to the railings. But there are many companies out there, if you can give them a photograph of what existed or what is across the street and maybe some type of template, they'll be able to make them for you.
The main thing I call them, and they say they no longer to do about the spin of the ballot. They only make all the squares straight.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Yeah.
So somebody's going to have to turn that on the lathe. Somebody's going to have to take a piece of wood and turn that on a lathe in order to get that. It would be lovely if we could refer them to somebody at Monty Tech for a project with the students there.
I've only know by driving by, but I believe on Broad Street, there's a building that does millwork. I don't know if they
On
still
Broad
do it,
Street?
or if they do that type of work. Broad Street?
Broad Street, you say?
Broad, B-R-O-A-D.
Okay, có gì không?
And I can write it for you.
I'm not sure if they're still there, but when you drive over the bridge, there's a list of the types of products that they make. Maybe they could be a source for you.
Mr. Gallagher, do you have any comments on this property?
I would like to say something on a positive note, and it's quite similar to your feelings on the retaining wall and the fencing around it. It's just very, very impressive looking, and I'm very, very happy at the job that they've done. I think they're to be commended. It's absolutely beautiful. So that's about all I have to add to it. I appreciate that of the applicants.
Thank you, Mr. Gallagher.
Thank you.
Mr. Byrne, any comments on this property?
No, he's mentioned the things that I was concerned about, and that's the construction equipment that's left behind on the back wall. But he said that's going to be removed, and that's fine. Like everybody else, I'm totally impressed with the brickwork. That the wall is just unbelievably very well done. Best one I've seen done lately.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chartrand?
Yeah, you're probably going to have to go somewhere where they can make it, but I was just online, and there are places. If you have an old one of the old ones, just bring it to them, and they'll copy it. I don't know what it will cost. I don't know how many you need, but they'll take the 2-inch regular ones and they'll just turn them.
This one is the last one, so I don't care how much it's cost. I just need to be done. But try to call many company, nobody do it.
Yeah, they'll have to turn it. You can definitely do it. If it wasn't on the exterior, like you could have it molded even. I've molded corbels before with like silicone molds and stuff and made them out of plaster. But you're on the outside, so they're going to have to turn it. They're going to have to turn it. There was a place in Lunenburg that used to do that type of stuff, but it's closed. And I know which one Mike's talking about at the end of Broad Street. There's a big sign. I don't know if that's there or not, but it's got to be somebody who has a lathe, and they'll put it on this. They'll make them.
Okay, I try shopping again, see what happens.
Yeah, bring it to like a shop. They'll have to make it. If you could find a school, there's a New England School of Architectural Woodwork. They'd be able to do it. I don't know how close it is though.
I've been
it
in,
might be a little bit of a haul to go find one of these places. Yeah, you could try there. I don't know if they have a lathe or not. They would definitely do it though.
I tried the millwork in Low.
Yeah.
He don't do either. And I tried the millwork in Nashua. They don't make it too.
One of the if Monty Tech doesn't do it,
Yeah.
they would know which trade school does.
Yeah, Monty Tech is our local vocational high school, and I think they teach this subject there.
They do carpentry. They have a lot of tools. I'm on the advisory board. They have quite a bit of equipment out there. Floyd Morrison, he's one of the teachers. Just call the school and ask for him, and ask them if they'd be wanting to do it because they have projects for interior and exterior. The undergraduate kids do most of the interior stuff. And when the juniors and seniors do a lot of the field work.
Okay,
If he doesn't do it, I'm sure he'll either know of someone who does or know which school does. Maybe Assabet has a construction program as well.
Okay.
And that's not too far, but I'm sure you can find somebody. There's a couple online.
Okay. So I do want to have a review before it's completed, but it sounds like you're not going to be complete until April because of the gas company.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So did you want to have a review in May, or did you want to have a review in April?
I don't know when they can turn on the gas in April, because they told me it's the winter time they shut down.
Madam Chair, let's give them enough time to really get it done, even if it's after he says it's completed, because we don't want to be bringing it back again.
No, I don't want to waste your time by coming here over and over again.
Correct.
So I think I'm going to put you on May. Other board members?
May or June.
Yeah, I think May. I have plenty time.
Okay. So our May meeting is on May 9th.
May 9th?
May 9th.
Thank you.
And the time will be fixed at a later point in time. It's a little far out. Otherwise, I think if you can get that taken care of, the fascia board, underside of the stairs being painted, and then make sure the cleanup and the rear fence are taken care of. I'm just overall, there's always a little issue here and there, but I'm so pleased with the way that you've worked this job, and I just wanted to thank you for what you're doing. I'm going to note to you another resource might be Mackey's in Gardner. And Mackey's has a mill shed. Mackey's is what is it? It's a construction store. It's a lumber yard, but they have a store in Gardner that might be able to do the mill work for you as well.
So I have to go ask them.
It's another resource. You don't have to do anything except come up with the product.
If you bring it to Mackey, they may know where to bring it or have a contact for someone that they can give you, considering they work for all these different vendors.
Okay,
If
that's
you bring
good.
it in and ask them, they may be able to point you in the right direction if they don't do it in Gardner. Gardner is their biggest store, so they may be able to do it
Because
out of there.
I've been to mostly we bought material from Lowe's and Home Depot.
Yeah.
So I talk with them. They don't get.
Yeah, like I said, I did a quick search, and there's places close by in New Hampshire. There's a couple close by here. There's one in Clinton. But yeah, if you go straight there, they might have a contact.
Okay.
Other people are having things made, this old house style. They get them made. Like I said, I just don't know how much work it's going to be. But for a baluster, it shouldn't be too bad. Those aren't too bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me go ask them. If they get it, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'd like to move us on. Before we do, is there any person here who would like to speak on this case? And I see nobody virtually who has their hand up. So we are going to move on. Can I have a motion on scheduling a further review?
Make the motion on ZBA 2022-01 to accept the conditions. I'd like to strike condition 13 and replace it with the exception that the date be May 9th, 2023, and that the additional requests made by the board be added as conditions and completed at that time.
Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Gallagher. Aye. Any opposed? None? All right, we will see you in May.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We're going to call the next matter. That is ZBA 2019-13, 324 Lunenburg Street. Is anyone here? I don't see anyone online as well. Mr. Barbaduro, did you see anyone online?
I'm looking now. Nope, no one is online.
Okay. Did we receive any communication from this petitioner, Ms. Mata?
I have it now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And no abutters are here to speak on this case? Okay. All right. I'm going to open this up to board comments. This is the continuance of a review of a special permit to reinstate a vacant or abandoned building as a three-family dwelling. Any board member have a comment they would like? Mr. Chartrand, I'm going to you first.
This project has been going on for some time. It does look better. I don't know what's holding up the finish. I know that they had some problems originally with, they had a stop work order because of the siding, and there was a number of things that went on, but this thing's dragging on. I don't understand why it is, or where's the difficulty, or where's the applicant at this point. So I'm kind of wondering what's going on with this one.
Mr. Byrne?
I usually never comment on the quality of work, but Mike and I were over there looking at this piece of property, and the workmanship and the quality of the merchandise purchased for this place is on the extreme low end. And I can't understand why it's taken them so long to get this job finished.
Or why we have no communication. Mr. McLaughlin?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to take a stab at this, but my best guess is the application was made back around February, or we heard the case in February of 2019. And it's been a long case. There's been many no-shows. I think the board is, showed its frustration for the inability for the applicant to bring the project to closure. 3 years is a long time.
I would agree.
And it's still, during our visit to the property, there's, still some things that need to be addressed. So.
Before I go to Mr. Gallagher, I'm just going to read out the comments from the building department. September 30th of 2022 was the last inspection, nothing since then, and the following issues need correction. There are 11 issues: electrical panel lockouts installed, water meters leaking, change the fire department coupling to 4-inch, install shutoffs on sprinkler pump, change out all local smoke detectors, install grabbable handrail on staircase, repair any ceiling tiles not in place, remove all keyed locks from the bedrooms. That's a particular issue because that is a lodging house issue. New bathroom fan in rear unit upstairs, signage from the Fitchburg Fire Department, and building numbered. Some of those I see as minor, some of them not so much, but that's a long time to go without any progress. So, Mr. Gallagher, any comments on this property?
Yeah, thank you. I just would like to agree with Michael McLaughlin wholeheartedly on this. And I find it extremely disappointing that the applicant, and this is not the first time, has not showed up for these meetings. And there's a level of frustration going on because it's been going on for 3 years. So I think we need to take a hard look on how we should continue with this.
Thank you. Mr. Barbadoro, have you had any communication from this property owner?
No communication.
Okay. Ms. Mata, no communication?
No communication.
Okay. Has anyone observed work continuing on this property? Any board members?
Not in some time. I think, like they said, the sprinkler work got done, which that's a big chunk of the work, but it's very slow. They're very slow. It doesn't seem like a big priority. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah. I don't like pulling permits mid-project, especially because I think that this is a project that is within completion range. But we have gone at least 2 meetings without communication. I think the last meeting we had somebody show at was in July, and we've had nothing since then. So I think I personally, as one board member, am at the point of being willing to pull the permit, but I would like to be specific about what the violations are. So I'm going to review. If any board member believes a condition has not been met, please let me know. Repair and paint all decking. Has that been met? The deck on one side has been replaced. The front entryway porch, the wood has been replaced. And I think from these comments, there's some work to do on one of the exterior stairways, but I think I couldn't say that condition had not been met. Uniform gutters, facial boards, and vinyl siding on the exterior. Has that been met?
Well, just to go back to number one, I think some of the decking's been replaced, but I don't think things have been painted yet.
Incomplete. Okay.
Back to two, uniform gutters and all that stuff. When we went by the property the other day, there's downspouts and then gutters that are sitting with rocks holding them up. It's just, hit the rock and everything falls apart. So, again, it's back to 100 years ago, this was a single-family home with a barn. And I wasn't in favor of this project as a three-family. I think it was, a stretch. And again, we're going on 3 years, and there doesn't seem to be, complete lack of communication over the 3 years, and disregard for, what the board has granted.
I think we have condition number 10, which is all exterior work to be completed by September 13th, 2022, has definitely not been met. There's a scope of work that I don't have before me. And then the front porch and front walkway to be repaired, including paint, by April 30th, 2022. That has been my pet peeve, and although there's been work done on the front, that has not been completed either. That is condition 14. Does anyone else have a condition that they believe is in violation right now?
I don't have a condition, but I would like to, if my memory serves me correctly, this is the third applicant for this that has come in for this piece of property. The first two we turned down because we didn't feel it could be used as a four-family. The second one was four-family, and the third one we knocked all the way down. And this one that we're dealing with now, early back when she first showed up here, she was strapped for money. So this is what's probably carrying on this, carrying on. She's not paying her contractors. That's why nothing's getting done. We ought to make some threats to pull this permit or do something in order to spur these people on. Michael, what do you think?
Madam Chair, I don't really think we should waste too much more time. We have other cases tonight.
We do.
I would be inclined to make a motion to revoke the permit based on the conditions and the lack of...
You might come in then.
Yeah, they'll have to reapply.
Perhaps.
But they should.
Yeah.
They should reapply if they want to finish. I mean,
Mr. Gallagher, any comments before we move to a motion?
I'm inclined to agree with the board. I think that we need to revoke
Okay.
the application because of lack of involvement and the duration of how long the project has gone on and things still remain not done properly.
Okay. Thank you.
Question.
Yes.
Madam Chair, what, we revoke a permit now in where the project is halfway completed. What does the applicant have to do to get it completed? Does she have to, come in for a new application?
Mr. Barbadoro?
Yeah, if the applicant has their special permit revoked, they have to come back and get a new special permit, or they can proceed by right as an exempted structure. Unless this was...
Do you put a cease and desist order on construction after we revoke the permit?
if you revoke the permit, we're going to put a stop work order on the doors of the property.
Just as commentary on a possible positive outcome from revoking the special permit, one of the conditions is that this owner can't transfer the property until the occupancy permit is issued. And I know that the last time I looked at ownership, the original owner was holding on to a tiny sliver of ownership, and then there were a number of other people with ownership
I had
interests.
just looked that up myself because I'm like, the chance of this changing hands is like 99.9%. I don't see them holding on to this. They're showing zero interest in finishing it or showing up. Why would they want to keep it? Doesn't make any sense.
So if
they
the-
Like you said, they don't have the money, so.
Yeah, but they can't sell it because
No, they
we've
could
got the
sell it.
condition on it.
They could sell it, they just have to get another permit.
Yeah.
They could definitely sell it. We can't stop them from that.
We can't stop them from selling it, but what they can do is if we revoke the special permit, whoever, they can sell it to somebody else who is then going to have to try all over again to get a new special permit, and then we might be able to have someone who can finish the job come in. Either way, we wouldn't
Well,
have
maybe
this
for Michael's
person
motion.
continuing. I'm inclined to look for a motion on the revocation of this special permit for violation of conditions.
Okay, I will make a motion in the affirmative to approve the review. I think, are we going to need two?
We'll need two if you make that motion, and I think that you should.
Okay, so under ZBA 2019-13, I'm going to make a motion in the affirmative to approve that the conditions have been met.
Yes.
Okay.
Do we have a second on the motion?
I have a second here.
All those in favor of this motion? All those opposed to this motion?
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
All right. 0 to 5, the motion fails. The review is not approved. Do I have any other motions?
I'll make a second motion under ZBA 2019-13. This is in the affirmative as well, to revoke the special permit that was issued to the property owner, Ruth Guzman, and any other affiliates.
What? Your vote, what's that motion, Mike?
Motion to revoke the special permit.
That's not in the affirmative, that's in the negative, because I'm going to vote for that. I want to pull that permit.
It's a
My motion is to revoke.
Yes.
motion to revoke for violation of conditions.
All right. Second.
Second. All those in favor of this motion?
Aye.
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 Thank you, Mr. Gallagher. That is unanimously approved. The special permit is revoked.
First one I've done, 10 years.
We do it sometime. Okay.
Once in a decade.
All right. Our review is closed. We're going to move to the next matter. The next matter is ZBA 2022-31, 56 Cully Street. Mr. Recio, please approach and sit at the table. Welcome to the meeting. Now,
Can I want there to be one thing for each one? Because that's one of the conditions they have.
the condition that we have is that we need to see
Thank you.
the parking plan. When did you get this parking plan?
Wow. They gotta be really nice with me to make it that fast.
Thank you. The issue that I have is Mr. Gallagher's not going to be able to see the plan, and our viewing public is not going to be able to see the plan. We don't really have a resolution to that, do we?
I could take a picture and text it to Brian.
That's a great idea.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michael.
I was,
What a
I was,
guy, what a guy.
I was going to say to text it to Mario Barbadoro so we can put it on the screen.
I am going to do the same thing. So we're going to be quiet for a couple of minutes while we all look at this plan. So I can see from this plan that you ended up not being able to put any parking spaces in front of the building,
Yes,
right? Okay,
because the size matters.
because of the sidewalks, yep. And so this leaves you with 5,
Yes,
okay. And the,
because we leave empty the front of where the dumpster is, so the truck never be stopped for a car or something. That's why we put in this size and 2 in the back.
okay,
So when the dumpster is where the little shed used to be, it's going to be the dumpster there. So it's plenty room so the truck don't disturb the street and stop the traffic or whatever. So they have plenty room to go inside, do your thing, and get out.
Mr. Barbadoro, do you think you can get that visual on the screen for us?
I'm working on it right now.
Thank you. Sorry to tax your technological abilities during the meeting. Do we have a comment?
Oh, no. That you put it on there.
Every time I do one of these meetings, one of my,
Need a pen?
there we go, there it is. Okay. Do you know what the total square footage of the building is? What's the area of the building? How many square feet?
How many square feet? 60 by 40, I believe, the building.
So 2,400. Just as a reminder, if anyone is here, online or in person for 1341 Ringe Road, that matter has been continued to the February meeting. Okay. Okay. This is a motor vehicle repair, right?
Body shop.
Not sales.
No, body shop.
Not sales, okay. So our parking requirement is 2 spaces per service bay or as otherwise determined by this board, which means if the board doesn't think you have enough parking, then they can have you have more parking. How many service bays?
There is 2.
2? Okay. All right. And how many employees?
It's only him working.
Only 1?
Yeah. The owner.
All At the last meeting, we did look at the ownership issue, and I think that was resolved.
Yes.
Which is good. What use is that parcel going to be put to? What are you going to do with the land that was bought next door?
Yeah?
What is going to happen with it?
Well, what piece of the land you're talking about?
As you're looking at the front,
Yeah.
to the
side.
right.
Oh, that's all set. They already attorneys, this different owner, everything is right, legally perfect now.
Okay.
And I think in last meeting we show you the paperwork for the lawyer and everything, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Barbadoro, were you able to look at get the plan up?
I'm very close.
Okay. Is there any person here who wishes to speak on this application? And if you're a virtual attendee, please raise your hand if you wish to speak on this application. I don't see any. All right,
There's one attendee. Kathleen Deschamps.
I don't see a raised hand, though. Okay. Okay. And if the virtual attendee didn't hear me, just so you know, there's 1341 Ringe Road is again continued until February. It will not be heard tonight. Mr. Chartrand, do you have any comments or questions for the applicant?
Not really. I mean, with just one employee and 2 bays,
Oh, Mr. Barbadoro, you're great. Thank you.
you do have the parking. I think the main concern over there, obviously, is the large number of vehicles from the numerous body shops and repair shops all along Cully, and the problems that the city has had with that. If he's going to do something similar to what you're going to do with the appointment only, because these are wrecks. It's not like people are driving them in, right? They're smashed. He's going to fix them, and then they're going to drive them out of there.
Well, that's what he's been doing since
I think
he starts in Lunenburg. He works by himself.
It's not like a regular, like, brakes and oil changes, though. It's auto body.
It's out of
The cars stay there for a while.
The cars stay for a while always.
Right. So you got one space, and you got two bays, so that means you could have 2 outside, 2 inside, and swap them back and forth, one for a customer. It will work. It's going to be small.
Body shop, you cannot park cars because you have period of time with the insurance. They give you a period of time to fix the cars. It's not like you can, they can put it there.
Well, like I said, it won't be like a regular, oil changes.
Not
People
regular.
aren't going to be pulling up and, hey, you want to paint this real quick?
That's not going to happen. They have a process.
It looks like you got it all figured out at this point. Have you guys started on the booth? I know you said you wanted
we
to.
need your guys' permit so we can go forward with the booth.
Okay.
Mr. Byrne?
No, I'm fine. Wait a minute. Who owns all those cars next to your building? On the far side of your building?
You're talking about 56 Cali Street?
Yeah,
I have no clue. I believe it's the guy across the street. I'm not sure. I don't want to point to somebody. Maybe it's not.
Okay.
Okay.
How many cars were there, Mike? 6?
I'm sorry?
Right next to the building, there was 6 cars there?
Yes, that property is owned by Senni.
He has all those cars on there?
Yes, yes. The transfer of land was
Yeah.
the piece that was encroached onto
The building.
the building.
It's
Yeah.
something like I showed him. It's like a little line between both lanes.
Mr. Gallagher, any questions?
Comment first. I'd like to thank the applicant for his effort put forth with cleaning the lot and removing the shed. I was there the other day, and it looks remarkably better than it had in the past. So I want to thank him for that.
Thank you.
The question I have is the 5 spaces provided. Could you give me the rough dimension of those spaces?
The bases inside the building
Spaces.
is
No, the
bas-
spaces provided for the parking.
the
The ones that
dimension.
are on the plan, sir.
It's 18 by 9.
9 by 18.
Something like
Okay.
that.
Yeah,
I'm
it
not sure, but gotta be in the plan here, 18 by 9, yeah? 18 long by 9 wide. They say
It's-
here in the
Very
map.
good.
It's small, but it
Very
is
good.
marked on the plan.
So it's very decent space for a car.
Yep. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. Mr. McLaughlin, any questions or comments?
I guess just some conditions.
Okay.
I can make comment of them now to give the applicant the ability to, comment. But I guess my first question is, it's auto body repair, we know that. So these are going to be vehicles that are registered, that were in an accident, and they're coming in for repair, correct?
Well, is every single body shop, they receive car for different ways. First, can be an accident, like you have a car accident, the insurance send you to there, to that place. Can be you buy a car in the auction, and they have a smash. It's gonna be inside to fix it, and later the customer registry or whatever they. It's different ways to you get a car with an accident, So they can be registered. Most of the car can register, but they can come one with no registration.
Okay.
So I try to be honest.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I guess what I'm looking to get to is that cars aren't going to sit in the pound for long periods of time.
Like I say,
But I know,
if you do that, he's gonna have problems with insurance because they give you, for example, if you have an accident, they give you a rental, but they give you a rental for a period of time. They calculate how long it's gonna be between get the parts and fix the cars to be done. So,
those I'm not worried about, because I get it. If my car is going in for repair, I want it back.
again,
But you're not going to be buying vehicles and keep them in there and then eventually get to, I'm going to
he don't buy cars. What he does is, if
just
I buy a
repair
car,
for other people.
I wanna fix it. You fix it. That's it.
I'm fixing only car. I don't buy
Okay,
a car.
got
I
you.
don't have time for that.
Okay. I think that's it. Right now, I can talk about some conditions. Just one other comment. Is there intention at some point in the near future to paint the building?
Or no, that we talked in the last meeting. We didn't because the cold weather, but that's
Get it.
for sure. As soon as the weather change, he's gonna paint the whole building outside.
Okay, awesome.
He already did it inside,
Yeah.
but he cannot do it outside.
Thank you.
I will
Mustard
paint the
yellow
inside,
is
you know.
gonna paint it.
I'm good right now. Thank you.
All right, and I have one more question for you. Can you please describe again, because I know that we discussed this while I was at the property, what's your intentions regarding the chain link fence on that, the fencing on that lot?
Last time we talked about it, the intentions was to fix whatever is there, and if we put like a fence, door fence, like a slice door fence, it's going to be to the left. If you have the front of the building, from left to right, so the door is going to be against the wall in the building. So it's no, if I do it to the other side, it's going to be to the neighbor. It's not going to happen. And other than that, you asked me about what type of fence we want to put. We have that one forever there. The neighbor had the same one. Senate just put a same fence on the other side of the building. So, but if you guys want another type of fence, we can work it out. Depends. So,
So I think that it would be an improvement to the neighborhood if it was not chain link, at least at the front. Or if it was chain link, that it was faced with another material.
Privacy
Okay.
slats? Do the privacy slats? Black, green?
If it's going to be privacy splats, I'd rather have it be painted in total.
Yeah. Well, you could go with like a black chain link with black slats. That'd be nice. That wouldn't be bad.
So that is no big deal because the front is not really good. So they needs to be replaced. So what about the neighbor? The neighbor just put the same we have. Maybe he thinking because we have it already, and he trying to be like us, you know?
So this board is here to make the city a better place. Or at least I will say that is my intent on being on this board. So and just so you know, when people come here and they say, why should I have to do that? Because this guy did a bad job.
I don't mean to say
so
that.
why can't I do a bad job?
I don't mean to say that. I believe
Yeah.
he did that
But it's not
us.
something that it's an argument that's going to sway me.
Okay.
As one board member. I think if you have anything else to offer, let me know, but I think I'm otherwise going to close the hearing.
So what type of fence? I want to know so when the time comes, we can make it happen. What
So
type of
that'll-
fence you like?
I'm going to close the hearing, and we're going to talk about whether or not to allow the permit and what conditions.
Okay.
And then we'll vote. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right, moving forward, I'm going to ask the board members if anyone has a condition that they would like to offer should this special permit be approved. Before I get to you, Mr. McLaughlin, does anyone else?
No offensive fumes or odors
Okay,
comes to mind. It's a simple one, for a body shop.
okay.
And then obviously inspections from building and fire for the booth. That's going to happen. Nothing too crazy there.
Okay. Mr. Burns?
Offensive odors, that's a good idea, and, but with the system that he says he's going to put in there, they shouldn't have any fumes. Shouldn't be
No,
any
that's why I'm saying
Yeah.
if we have them, there'll be a problem. There shouldn't be any of that.
Mr. Gallagher, any conditions that you would
Dust and such,
suggest?
you know what I mean? Standing outside.
Yeah, I'd like, thank you, Christine. I'd like to see defined hours of operation.
Thank you. Mr. McLaughlin?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kind of our standard list that we typically look at, no outside storage of vehicle parts. It'll just be the vehicles, okay? A review period or time. Building to be painted, the exterior specifically. Professional signage, no temporary vinyl banners, right? Hours of operation,
I'm going to suggest that hours of operation that go from, there is a residential neighborhood to the rear.
exactly.
So I think that perhaps an 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. might be appropriate. I would be willing to consider out to 7.
Add a couple words to that, by appointment only. That's what he
Well-
wants. That's what he's doing.
What about days?
Not Sundays. And I think Saturday hours would have to end at 4.
Were you going to tell me you can't do that? You're going to tell me you can't do that?
No,
I was just wondering.
I had a particular concern with that property about hours of appointment only because there was no parking at all.
Oh, okay, all right.
No parking at all on that property.
Thankfully, it's body work. That's kind of
Yes.
saving him.
There is parking at this property, so I think
You
it's...
know what I mean?
And otherwise,
Yeah.
I have I don't really want to, unless there's a very good reason to be saying what people should say on signs. So, all right, so I think I said 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturdays 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
That's good, thank you. That's our plan.
Okay.
Perfect.
So I would normally want a dumpster screening, but I think as long as it's located behind that fence, it's screened. So dumpster to be located within fenced area. And front fencing of parking area to be black painted chain link with privacy slats of matching color or better.
Okay.
So if you want something nicer on there, that's nicer.
What about vinyl or plus vinyl white? Or you prefer wood?
A nice, as long as it's a vinyl that looks something like a normal stockade fence.
Okay.
So if it's an improvement, for instance, if you would like to take a cue from Mr. Tran and build it out of wrought iron, we would have no complaint.
Thank you.
Probably, he's probably going to want something he can lock, you know what I mean, to keep people out at night.
Yeah.
You know, because you don't want to, you know what I mean?
But I agree. I see in this particular instance the
Dark,
need for chain
late.
link fence.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And then I also wanted to make sure that the cars didn't linger so that someone else operating this might not be as scrupulous. And so unregistered cars not to remain for more than 2 months. I
Perfect.
think that would be
Oh, fair
adequate
enough.
in any case to make
That's
a
fair
repair.
enough. ¿Entendiste? Que si hay un auto sin-
Auto body repair only, no auto sales or service. One other thing I wanted to float out to the board with regards to the parking area being paved at some point. And maybe a timeline, because he does need to get up and running.
I think I would give, so we have the same issue with painting the building. And
Right.
I think with painting the building, that should be able to be accomplished for a review in June. So that means I'm going to say by May 31st, the building should be painted. Paving, I am thinking to give a little bit longer of a timeline.
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
thinking at a one-year review might be appropriate for paving.
Te dan un año para que hagas paving. Un año. ¿Está bien? Thank you.
Does that work
I
a
agree
year?
with that. Yeah, 1 year so he can catch up a little bit, you know?
Expiration on this special permit,
Sunset clause?
sunset clause? Okay.
I was
So,
going to say that when Mike was running off his stuff. Great minds, same channels, you know.
is there going to be a company that's going to own the property? Or is it going to be directly owned in his name alone?
La propiedad está a tu nombre o está a nombre de tu compañía?
Not to be operated.
His
as
name,
a-
personal name. It's in his personal name.
Okay. And then I think along with the no offensive fumes or odors and not to be operated as a public nuisance. All right, I am going to read these. If anyone thinks I've missed anything, let me know. So permission is given for an auto body with 2 bays, including 1 spray booth, no sales or service. It's going to be auto body only, not auto mechanical repairs. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. The fence to be replaced with chain link painted black with privacy slats that match. The building to be painted by May 31st.
By when? Sorry?
By
Building
May 31st.
May 31st.
May
Okay.
31st. Building and fire inspections to be completed for the spray booth. No outside storage of vehicle parts. No offensive fumes, odors, or to be operated as a public nuisance. Any unregistered cars to remain no longer than 2 months. Professional signage to be installed. And pavement to occur within, pavement of the parking area within 1 year of today. So that's January 10th, 2024. And then we're going to have a review. I think I would like to have a review in June and see how it's going, make sure the painting's been done.
Perfect.
And the dumpster to be located within the fence.
So that would be June 13th.
Okay.
June 13.
We're going out there and talking about, aren't we closed? We're closed right now, right? Are we open?
We are closed, yes, thank
just-
you.
just a
Thank you
quick
for
question.
reminding.
I would
Okay.
like to know, on that condition that you read, on the vehicle, you said, no non-registered vehicle will be kept over 2 months.
Correct.
I thought it was no vehicle to be kept over 2 months, to include whether it's registered or not.
I think if we're looking at policing, if there is a vehicle that's there every day, I'm not going to know if it's moved. I think that would be hard to police if it's registered. But
Whatever you think. Okay.
Yeah, I think like Mike said, the registered ones they're gonna want back. I don't think we'll have to worry so much of those, but the repairs, the classic cars that sit, or the non-repairables that sit, the auction ones.
And then the final condition to be parking according to plan dated January 10th, 2022, and submitted with this application.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Barbadoro.
it's Mr. Gallagher.
Sorry, you both sound similar from a distance.
Did I miss did I miss the condition for the hours of operation?
Hours of operation, Monday through Friday, 8 to 6, Saturday, 8 to 4.
Okay, so that's in there as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I hear a motion with those conditions, please?
I'll make a motion on ZBA 2022-31 to approve a special permit at 56 Cully Street for Yale Dario Riccio. Did I get that right? Thank you. With the conditions as stated by the chair.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Any opposed? Seeing none, that passes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We look forward to having the business located here, and we wish you very good luck with it.
Thanks.
Okay. We will see you in June.
Thank you for helping out, Ariel. Appreciate it.
Good luck. Thank you, Ariel. We see you, brother.
Good night.
All right.
So this one's interesting.
We're calling the next matter, which is ZBA 2023-01, Minneapolis Ave. This is an appeal to overrule the building commissioner's decision under Section 181.92 of the Fitchburg zoning ordinance to construct a single-family house on a 6,000 square foot lot, less than the minimum required area pursuant to Section 181.416, located in Residential A. Right, so thank you for coming before us today. Welcome to the meeting. Could you please each state your name and address for our record?
For the board, my name is George Carizzi. I'm an attorney in West Boylston. And with me tonight is Tammy Prentice, who's the property owner and the applicant.
Thank you. And Ms. Prentice, can you just state your address, please? Thank you.
22 Patriot Road, Fitchburg, Mass.
Thank you very much. All right, so you have given us an appeal, and I understand this to be only an appeal, not a request for a variance or a special permit, correct?
That's correct, Madam
Okay.
Chair. Thank you.
And the matter under appeal is whether or not this is a property that is grandfathered under Chapter 40A, Section 6, correct?
That's correct, Madam Chair.
And which I like to call a 5 and 5 property. Is there any other matter in the building commissioner decision that you are appealing?
No, I don't. I did speak with the building commissioner just prior to the submission of the application, and he was great conversation. He tipped me off to one of the issues that he had that was troubling him, which I'd be happy to address. And I amended my application shortly after having that conversation that dealt with whether or not this property was held in common ownership. And a rather unique issue is during tax title, because this area had a series of tax titles over the decades. So I'm happy to address that, and I will address that. I did submit a narrative with my application, but that's the only matter that we're appealing. We believe it's a 5 and 5 lot.
Okay. And am I understanding that in the proposal that you've given, and you did submit a survey plan, and there's a survey plan that has a proposed building on it. And within this plan that you've submitted, you intend to meet all existing setbacks?
We plan to meet the setbacks shown on the application, on the zoning application. I
Okay.
don't think that's actually required by the statute, but that's what she's applied for, and that's what we're able to do.
Okay. Please proceed, and we would love to hear your narrative. Thank you.
Thank you. This is an appeal, as noted, of the denial of a building permit application. The building commissioner denied the application in October, and this appeal followed. We believe that this particular parcel is a privileged parcel under the grandfather language of Chapter 48, Section 6. With my application, we submitted a pretty lengthy narrative that explains what our position is. It would rely on that, but I'll be happy to summarize that. Chapter 48, Section 6 has a series of freezing provisions and a series of grandfathering provisions. We're particularly relying on the provision relative to pre-existing lots, as the chair suggested, a 5 and 5 lot, vacant land which predates zoning, not held in common ownership, used for single or two-family residential purposes, is exempt from changes or increases in the zoning relative to dimensional provisions if the lot has 5,000 square feet of area and 50 feet of frontage. That's what the statute provides. The idea of that is primarily to keep once buildable lots buildable. The issues that have to be presented in order to claim your grandfather protections is, number one, are you applying for residential purposes? In this case, Ms. Prentice is applying for construction of a single-family home. The second thing is the lot has to have 5,000 square feet of area, and this lot contains over 8,000 square feet. So we meet criteria number 2. The third one is it has to have at least 50 feet of frontage, and this lot has a little over 53 feet of frontage, so it then qualifies under criteria 3. And then the last criterion that needs to be identified is common ownership. That requires some significant research to determine whether or not this property was ever owned or held in common ownership with abutting land at a time in which the zoning bylaw was in effect, or the change in the zoning bylaw was in effect. So when the building commissioner raised the issues about common ownership, dug into the registry of deeds, and have supplied the board, the zoning board, with abstracts of title both for this property and for the two abutting properties, the property on the left and the property behind it. The property on the left on Minneapolis, that title dates back to, so before I do that, let me talk to you about Mrs. Prentice's property. Mrs. Prentice's property is, that property dates back to the 1920s. In the 1920s,
Are you saying that that's when the lot was created?
no, the lot was created actually back around 1800s. In the late very, very late 1890s, the lots were created on the plan. It was conveyed out of common ownership. So we're looking for the issues of common ownership. It was conveyed out of common ownership in the early 1920s. It remained in the owner's property from so in 1921, there was a deed to a Harmon Ledger. In 1985, the city took the property from Harmon Ledger. That was the assessed owner, that was the identified owner, and the city took it. And in their tax taking, they identified that it was taxes dating all the way back to the 1950s. So this property had been a tax delinquent parcel for, at that time, it appeared decades. So at that time, the city properly exercised its tax taking back in 1985. In 1996, it conveyed the property to Tammy's father, and it's been held in separate ownership either by Mr. Herman Ledger from 1925 to 1985, and then by Mr. Savoy up until Tammy inherited it when her father passed. So that's that property. This one property, we can identify a distinct chain of title. Now the question is, what about the other two properties? The property on the left, which is on Minneapolis, that property was conveyed by the same prior owner. Is actually the widow of the guy who conveyed it to Herman Ledger. So it was Herman Ledger conveys it to. I mean, strike that. The conveyance in 1921 to Ledger comes from a male grantor. A couple of years later, the executrix conveys the property at 80 Minneapolis to a different person named Cleveland. Almost right away. That's in 1923. Almost right away, the city has a tax taking against Mr. Cleveland. And this property was held in, was done by a collector's deed. City deeds it to a George Haven back in 1925. Haven goes through the land court process to foreclose the tax title in the 1940s, and he receives a land court foreclosure of the tax title in 1940. And in 1950, so he owns it. He owns it from 1925 to 1940 when he has the tax title foreclosed, wiping out Cleveland's right to redeem or to redeem. And then after that right of redemption has been foreclosed, Haven conveys the property out in 1959. And then it goes through a series of other conveyances in 2005, 2015, 2016, 2018, and 2021. But that property was out of a separate chain of title as well.
I want to stop on this for a moment.
Sure.
So by what you've just told me, prior to even any tax taking of the subject property, which was through Herman Ledger in the 1950s.
Mine?
The subject property, there was a tax taking in the 1950s, you said.
1980s. It was taken in 1985 for delinquent taxes through the 1950s.
Was there a recording of the delinquency?
No, they filed in 1985, the city did a tax taking in 1985. That was the first tax taking. So it was not in tax title. The first time it enters tax title is 1985.
Okay.
All right, so the fact that there was unpaid taxes is, I think, I have no reason to doubt the city's taken in 85, but the city never acted on it. The city didn't act on Harmon's, strike that, Ledger's delinquency until 1985. And by the way, he was the owner of the property from 1925. So I suspect that when they said tax taking from 1955, it might have been delinquent to 1925, you know, but they just said from 1955 forward, we're going to do our tax title.
Okay.
But it was not in tax title until 85. And that's one of the issues, so that when I recently spoke to the commissioner before filing this, he said there was some interesting issues about tax title, and whether or not these parcels were ever in tax title at the same time. So I looked at it. It's an interesting issue. Not a lot of case law on it. There is a case from the land court, and the land court said that alone, that would not constitute a merger. That's what, according to the land court judge, it's not a binding precedent, but according to the land court judge, which does have obviously jurisdiction in zoning and also has jurisdiction on tax titles, their position is that does not constitute a merger or a joinder of title on those properties. But it doesn't matter anyways, because in this case, this property, the subject property, is held in private ownership until 1985, whereas 80 Minneapolis is already out of tax title by 1950.
Okay.
So by the time this property is even taken or declared delinquent, that property is out of tax title.
The foreclosure has been completed in land court.
In land court.
Okay.
The foreclosure in land court was completed in 1940.
Okay, thank you. Please go on the 80 Minneapolis title.
Okay. So at the end of 80 Minneapolis, so it goes through a series of private owners all the way up to the current owner, 2021. There's a conveyance to the private owner. None of those parties is either Ms. Prentice or her father. That whole chain of title is a completely unique chain of title for that property.
And no further tax takings by the city during that time period?
Not that no, I will say no. It was pretty clear that Haven got the property from non-payment of taxes. He actually got a collector's deed, foreclosed that, appeared to be pretty diligent with it, conveyed out in 1959, and then went to Martino, Jacobs, and then finally Benjamin Builders. It looks as though Haven deeds it to Martino in 59, and Martino deeds it out in 2005. The survivor of the two. So it seems as though there's nothing that I saw. There's no taking, no foreclosures, no evidence of that kind of jointed there.
Okay. And the title on the remaining property?
On the rear property, the property that abuts this property on the rear is on Columbia. That property also at one point entered into tax title. It has a different history. That was actually probably one of the first lots in the 1890 subdivision that went out. Title traces back to when it comes out of the common developer, the common owner. That came out in 1900, 20 years prior to either of these other two lots on Minneapolis. The city doesn't take it for non-payment of taxes until 1934. So there's a collector's deed. Woollencroft takes title in 1900, and then there's a collector's deed from her in 1934. This one goes to a different tract. This goes to the land of low value. So this one goes to the land of low value with affidavits that get recorded, but ultimately there's a collector's deed in 1950. The collector's deed comes from the city of Fitchburg to a Harkins. And then Harkins owns this property from the 1950s forward, and then he starts selling that off. In 1970, he conveys the property out, and it stays in private ownership, independent of Zero Minneapolis, the subject property, right up to the current dates. And so we can see it goes Harkins to Jacobs, Jacobs to Harrison, Harrison to Johnston, Harrison to, and then Harrison does a confirmatory deed to Proline, and then Proline to the current owners. So I respectfully suggest that that last component, which is oftentimes the most complicated and fact-intensive consideration for 48 Section 6, suggests that this property has not been held in common ownership with any of the abutting land, and therefore will qualify for the grandfathering protections under the statute.
Great.
Happy to answer any questions if you have. I have tried to give the board full copies of all the documents, the whole abstract. Any questions? So happy to see if I can field them.
Thank you very much, counsel. Before I go to the board or the public, Commissioner Barbadoro, did you want to make a response on this appeal?
I guess just a comment to say that it is obviously more complicated than most grandfathered lots based upon the sordid history and corrective deeds and tax takings. So I had really no way of understanding whether or not this met the grandfathering requirements, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't. It just means that it's complicated. So that's all. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there any member of the public now present who would like to make a comment on this petition?
Madam Chair, there is an attendee who does have her hand up.
Thank you. Right. Mr. Barbadoro, can you let her in, please? I assume this is Ms. Deschamps.
I'm sorry, I did it wrong.
Okay.
I thought I was supposed to. I don't want to make any comments on this item.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And any person now present? I see none. I'm going to go to board members to see if anyone has a question for the applicant, Mr. Gallagher.
I have no questions at this time, Christine. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chartrand?
No, so you guys, like, I mean, I picked up what Mark was putting down. Like he said, he just didn't have the information. Without this extensive tax titles and tax takings and all this history, there'd be no way to figure that out from the
We had
building
no
department.
judgment. Believe me,
Yeah, I was going to
I've
say
had
that
several
this is so much soup, so much alphabet soup here. There'd be no way for us to do that at a department level.
Mr. Byrne, any questions?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Mike and I drove up to that area on Minneapolis Street, and we looked at the property so shown on the maps here and stuff. Have you been up there?
I have.
How did some of those houses get built? I mean, like the one on the corner.
5 and 5.
Yeah, I've been sitting at this board 10 years, and I haven't seen them come before us for a building permit, let alone building on a smaller lot.
If it is a 5 and 5 lot, they actually don't
It's
need.
50 some odd acre.
I know of one
50 to
person who
100.
built one, Mr. John Harrison. That was a 5,000 square foot plus or minus that ruffled a lot of feathers about 3 years ago. And he found one. It's in that same neighborhood, actually.
On the corner.
You know what I'm talking about, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
they
doesn't-
exist. They're far and few between these days, but there are a couple out there.
Yeah, if it is actually a 5 and 5 lot and the building commissioner agrees, it doesn't need to become before any board for that.
I understand
But,
that, but I'm just thinking that
This is
who
before
would
the
hold on a piece of property that small in the city and pay taxes on it year after year after year after year?
I would
I
agree.
don't know,
Well, they didn't, Joe, that's why.
Yeah, that's why it was taken
It was
over,
an
I understand
tax
that.
title,
I can't believe that one of the abutters never picked it up. But he just told me that no abutter, it was never
Apparently not.
with any other land.
Well, because they probably thought it was useless. Like, I don't want to pay all that money for that little piece. What am I going to do with it? You know? Okay.
Mr. McLaughlin, do you have any questions?
He's having fun.
Yes. I'm just looking for the plot plan.
There's two of them in there.
I know it's in my packet, but if you can kind of give me some insight as to what page, that would be great.
Hoping I can find that too, Mr. McGovern.
Mike, you want?
I found everything else I needed. Oh, okay. Probably have that in there.
It's towards the front.
My apologies.
Number 5.
Okay, we're going to start it again. Okay. So I do have one question, because we did visit the parcel. There are 2 stakes in the ground. What do those represent?
That I don't know. Ms.
We had it surveyed.
Okay. So I did some fuzzy math while I was there, right? 'Cause everything says 53 feet. And again, this was fuzzy math. I didn't have a tape measure with me, but it appears to be between stakes about 37 feet. Is there something I'm missing?
That I don't know.
I can tell you that the plan, the lot itself is a common, this is one of those very old plans, the 1800s plans, when you used to have a lot of 25-foot lots, and that's what this is. So this is a combination of 2 of those parcels way back when. It was sold out originally as those 2 lots, Lot 210, 211. Lot 210 had 25 feet, and Lot 211 had 28.3 feet. So that was just a little bit larger. So those 2 combined is 53. I can't tell you what the stakes were, but I can tell you that this lot has frontage on a plan of 53 feet.
Okay. So when they did the survey, did they mark out Monitor Street as well? I'm just trying to get my arms around reality, because I know sometimes these plans are done from somebody's desk somewhere, and they didn't really come out and being that everything is so old and convoluted, I just want us to all make sure that there is 53 feet there. The monitor is kind of there, right? You can see from your property all the way through to, is it Columbia?
Mm-hmm. We had it surveyed about, 6 months ago? 8 months ago?
I see it, but again, when I was there, I didn't see 53 feet.
I actually went there and actually put a tape on it.
Yeah. Well, we can ask the surveyor to come out and clear, and make it a little bit more clearer, I guess. I'm not really sure. We haven't really walked it. We just, like I said, we hired the survey company to come and make sure.
Did they actually come out?
They did, yeah. they
Okay.
did, Yeah.
Spoke to some of the neighbors
I saw them.
spoke to them while they were there.
Yeah.
So, sir, because you're speaking in the meeting, can you just for a moment approach the
Late now.
podium? Thank you. State your name and address, please.
Dean Prentice, 22 Patriot Road.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
And just if anybody is here and wishes to make a comment, please approach the podium and do the same thing for us. Thank you.
But we can do that, Mr. McLaughlin. We can have the surveying company come out and make it clearer. So, for you.
I will say that on the plan, I see that there's the corner, let's say the corner between this and 80 Minneapolis, all right? I don't know, BC not sets or whatever the corner monumentation, it's not, I don't know that corner has been monumented. There, so, where exactly it is, I can't tell you. I can't tell you that legally the city has it showing as on their assessment maps, not that that's binding, but just saying the city has it consistent with this relative to its size. The city has it size consistent with this over the 8,000 square feet. So it appears as though it meets the criteria.
Well, there's 2 plot plans. You got this one for Norman in 98, and then you got yours. So 2 surveyors agreed. That's what it has. So I couldn't imagine them both getting it wrong.
I can't either.
You know what I
That's why we
mean?
had
But it
the
was
new
just-
company come out. We just wanted to double check
They-
and dot our i's and cross our.
Were they the
and everything.
corners or maybe the lot, or the building? It was on the corner of the road, right? Yeah.
Yeah, if I have
Odd.
and I know this is lousy, and I know I don't have it, and I want to just, I didn't want to inundate and just be done. But I do have a blow-up of the original
right here.
1895 plan, if I may just
Yeah.
present? If I
Oh, sure, absolutely.
What is this here?
I just want to make sure, as we proceed,
It's 35
that we
feet.
don't end up with any other issues. And we've had some cases recently where some plans that were submitted
But I don't know if he ever even
didn't
got it.
seem like the numbers were there.
But they're showing
And again,
35,
all
they're
I
saying
did
we're
was
back.
go, I assumed stake to stake meant the boundary. And I'm like, that's not 53 feet. And it wasn't like I said,
just
geez,
looking
it's
at
off
that
by
back
2
lot line,
feet.
I mean,
Not here for that.
understand why-
It seemed to be off quite a bit.
Why he
Just want to
wanted to
make
put it
sure
so far
that
forward.
everything's accurate.
Flat lot, right?
But this is,
Now
it's
they
an
can-
excerpt
if you
of a
look,
very, very large plan, so I think that's not here, but you'll notice
No
one
one
of the
thinks about
front
that.
pages
There's
is
another piece of land over here. It looks like they bought.
So that was on the 1895,
I mean,
which created these lots.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have that, but it just, that's, and then going forward.
Thank you.
That description hasn't changed going forward.
Right. Thanks.
Would you be willing to have boundary pins set?
There is, there's metal ones in the
Here?
and wooden stakes on top of the side.
Mr. Barbadoro?
So I'm looking at this plot plan, and I'm seeing the notation RBS, and if you look at the legend, it says RBS means rebar set this survey. So I see 3 corners of the lot set this survey by the surveyor. I may be misreading this, but that's what it looks like.
But the front left one is not set, correct?
It is not set, no. But the back, the three corners appear to be set.
There's actually 6 of them out there. 6 points that he put in the ground.
Yes. May I ask the Commissioner?
Yeah, you can see those 2
Not be found, so
on the
reroute
corner of
found.
that other lot, right here in the back.
Commissioner Barbadoro,
Yes, sir.
2 here.
with a
Wrong thing. C.
grandfathered lot, what are the setback requirements?
So the way I read 48 Section 6,
This is
the
2002.
zoning that is in effect, if any, when the lot was last held in common ownership is applicable. So if the last time this lot was held in common ownership predated the bylaw in its entirety, then there is no setbacks for a property. A reasonable effort to create some sort of setbacks is all that is applicable.
The law says.
Thank you. My other question is, before the board proceeds, was additional information supplied that you would need to review to make sure that your determination is still good, or do you need to review any information that was submitted after your denial letter was issued?
I've reviewed the packet given by the Prentice's counsel, and it is very thorough, and I don't need to review any of that, but if I may ask a question through the chair.
Go right ahead.
Thank you. There was a Monitor Street was created as a parcel as well at one point, and I believe owned by the Prentices. So my question is that going to be included in this lot area? Thanks.
It is not. It is not included in this lot area. That was probably poor advice back then in an effort to try to come up with a way around this thing. I think it should just been explored as a grandfathered lot for Tammy's father, several years ago, but they didn't. So we play the cards with dealt. The reality of it is not allowed under case law to combine a private way with your lot in order to claim area. If that were the case, if I had a 3,500 square foot lot or a 4,000 square foot lot, I say, hey, the derelict fee statute gives me the center line of the road. I now have 5,000 square feet. Give me a building. The courts have said, no, we don't add road area into your lots for zoning purposes. So we're not adding it in. We don't need it because it's already over 8,000 square feet. And we're going to respect the boundary. People who own property on that road, that abut that road, have a right to whatever rights they have to pass and repass across their road. Bearing in mind it's a private way, but they still have rights that are pertinent to their property as abutters on that private way. And we respect that. There's no building and no annexation of that road.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, I think my question to the commissioner is based on the additional information submitted. Does the applicant, and after review, does the applicant need to be before this board, or does the commissioner still feel that he's upheld his original decision?
May I answer that, Madam Chair?
Please do.
Thank you.
Okay. To be honest, this is above my pay grade. This is not a simple case of chasing down ownerships through easily understandable deeds. And so I would prefer that the board overturn my decision if they believe this is buildable, or uphold it if they don't. I personally have no feeling one way or the other. It's just, well, I actually do. I think it might actually be a buildable lot, but it is just too complicated for me to get. It's really above my pay grade. Plus, it has a legal issue that also kind of puts it outside of my normal course of business.
Thank you. We're volunteers, you know that, right?
Mark, did you have the opportunity to have the town council review this or anything? Any of this paperwork, or did they want to, or?
I did not ask town council to review it, but if you guys are not satisfied with it, then, that's up to you guys to decide to do.
I know a good attorney that's on the board. I'm pretty sure they took a look at it.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
So I will say that what I was able to do in the time allotted to me was to locate the case that you cited, and thank you for locating that, because the first time I had heard about this problem, there was no locatable case on Lexis, so I don't know how you found it, but kudos for you. Westlaw. So you have reason to switch. So thank you for locating it. I did read the opinion in the land court case. And, personally, I find the argument persuasive, which means that although that case may not be binding on us, as a one board member, I would find the reasoning persuasive, which is that generally the Commonwealth does not want to have a policy where lots that were once buildable are now rendered economically unusable.
Of course.
And that, therefore, the taking as a passing by a municipality as part of a tax taking should not result in a merger. The opinion is not long, and I think readable by any board member, and I'd be happy to make it available should any other board member wish to do so. It's also available as a public resource through a website called masscases.com. I do want to make sure that it is 50-foot of frontage. And the prior survey does not mark that any bounds were located on it. The current does mark that except for the first one on the front left corner. If the applicant's willing, I'd like to see that marked and have the opportunity to review that on a personal site visit before we move forward on a decision.
Sure.
And then I did also want to note and just have you confirm you're not relying on the extra back portion of the property for this opinion.
That's correct.
I think that conveyance probably resulted in something called infectious invalidity, but not to this lot, to the other lot. Yeah. So, not that you'd come up with an opposing opinion, but if you have one, let me know.
I was a little suspect on it in the first place
Yeah.
because Mr. Haskins, when he did this, unilaterally changed his abutters. I mean, they got issues back there totally independent of us because Haskins granted a deed in 71 and then says, oh, in 1983, after it's been sold out, oh, I made a mistake, here's my corrected deed. So whether or not he even had it to deed it to Tammy's dad, we're not relying on it. I do note that the abutters, their deeds tend to accept the dimensions that were unilaterally imposed on them by Haskins, but you know, I think we don't need that for our Section 6 issues.
Yes.
Just a question for clarification. The proposed whole piece of land, right, the lot, it's going to go all the way back to Columbia?
No, there's a house back there, 77 Columbia.
Yes.
Okay. So this lot goes from Monitor. It's basically halfway between Monitor and Columbia.
Okay, that piece of land in the back.
I'm sorry. In Minneapolis and Columbia are parallel. And
Right.
this lot is about halfway between.
Okay, it doesn't go all the way to the back.
There is a property already there that's built and improved.
Okay.
That's at 77.
Okay,
Okay.
gotcha.
All right. So what I'd like to do is have that pin set, the mark be visible, and allow an opportunity for board members to go informally in view. And I want to make very sure that we're looking at the right marks so that if it could be very visible and obvious, that would be, and set by the surveyor, that would be appropriate. Are there any encroachments to your knowledge on the lot?
No, not that I know of.
The fence is not over?
Any buildings,
The fence is 1 foot
structures on the lot now.
far side of the stake that's in the ground.
Trees.
And from the rear, there's a playground or something?
That's on the house behind us.
And that's not encroaching on your land? Okay. All right. So this is what I'd like to do. I would like to set a review date. I would like to have you set the pin and mark it very explicitly, and notify the building department and our fabulous Miss Mata when that is done. What time period do you think is necessary? Please, go forward, sir. Just come up to the podium.
Yeah, we had it surveyed, and he put 6 stakes in the ground. And as far as I know, they're all there,
Unless somebody took one out.
unless somebody pulled one out.
So the stakes are kind of ephemeral.
The wooden stake may
Yeah.
be pulled out, but he told me on the phone when I talked to him that there's rebar set in the ground that's sticking out. So
It's also,
you could go there tonight if you really wanted to see it.
so what I am saying to you is that at one of the corners, it is marked on the plan as not set. So I would like it to be set, a pin set, and a very obvious marking of that pin, so that I can see not only the wooden stake, but the pin. So, and I also want an opportunity to look at the very high amount of work that has been done by council. I've read the letter. I would like to look through the abstract. So how long should we continue?
We could be in by the next, you meet every 2 weeks or once a month?
Once a month.
We'll be ready by next month.
Perfect.
And we'll notify, building commissioner, is that who we notified that it's been done so that they can report to you?
Yeah, or Mercedes Mata, the building department is fine.
Okay, very good.
And the building department will notify the board members when they are able to go out and view it.
Sure.
Okay. And we're not going to conduct that as a meeting, so we would each approach it on our own time.
Thank you for the great presentation, by the way, very thorough.
Yeah, we appreciate that. I am going to ask that we have the applicant sign a continuance form to ensure that we don't have any deadlines that are missed, although this is an appeal, and it shouldn't matter. I'm still going to have you do it.
You want me to, do you have the prepaid? You already have it.
So we will, is that the form?
That
No,
will
that's
is
not
that the
form.
extension request?
So if you can approach, and we're going to have you sign the form.
Hey.
So to continue to?
February 14th.
I mean, the thing is, it's a lot of work to get this paper.
Yes, no exceptions for the wicked.
What's going to cost you $10,000 to do that out? I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? Well, Lot in Fitchburg's got to be worth $100,000 or more. This town is
Thank
sewer,
you.
town water. You know, I've seen this one, and
Right.
even though it's tiny, with the design they have, it's not.
All right, given that we have had a continuance agreement signed, I'm looking for a motion on this matter.
I will make the motion on ZBA 2023-01 for a continuance until February 14th, 2023.
Thank you. Any seconds?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, Mr. Gallagher. None opposed. We will see you in February. Good luck. Thank you. All right, we are now calling the final matter for this evening. That is ZBA 2023-02, 479 Water Street. This is a request for a special permit under Section 181.3332 of the City of Fitchburg Code to reinstate a vacant or abandoned building from one nonconforming use to another less detrimental nonconforming use as a duplex pursuant to 181.313 in the Neighborhood Business District. Welcome. Please have a seat. All right. And please state your name and address for the record.
Miklan Ismail, 93 Temple Street, Lower Mass.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Welcome to our meeting.
Thank you.
So I understand that you are looking to take what was last a four-family building and move it to a two-family building.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you're aware that this has been before our board before. I think the last time was 4 years ago.
No.
And been denied. Okay. So this was last before our board, and it was denied in 2019.
Yep.
And I'm just going to I'll tell you, I printed this out once at my office and once at my home, and both times I forgot to take it here. So I don't have a printed version for you to look at. Ms. Mata might.
A denial?
Denial, 2019.
Yeah.
Why can't you put it on you,
Oh, thank you so much. So good.
Still no parking. You can only do a single family.
Right. 13.
If you want to tear it down, so
Oh, there, okay. All right, so the last time somebody was here on this property, they were looking to take the 4-family and make it a 3-family, okay? And these are the reasons that it was rejected. The structure is tight to the road, and the next property doesn't have access to the back, which doesn't have land for parking. Based on the lot and structure size, the board members feel comfortable to reinstate as a single-family dwelling, but the petitioner declined, so they said they didn't want to do that. Property appears that originally when it was built, it was a single-family. There is no yard for the occupants and no available land for off-street parking, and therefore the ZBA voted to deny the permit. Okay. Did you buy the property recently?
Yeah, I just did. That was in November, and it was being sold as a 4-family. So when I got it, I went through and I think they mentioned about like a parking spot, but at the front yard, because the neighbors that has a 3-family, they also park cars in the front. So the distance between the building to the main road is a little bit further. So at the original, it has a 3 parking spot at the front. So they recommend me like to give one more parking, which that could I could create the parking at the back. So if I have 4 parking space, then that's what the advisor gave me. They can grant me the permit to make it as a duplex.
Do you have a shared driveway with the next door property?
Yes.
You both have rights to it?
Yes.
Is it written in the deed?
Yes, it's under my deed.
Okay.
Because the front yard has a 3 parking spot already that 3 cars could fit in there. So only one more space left, which the advisor could do that at the back. Since we have a shared driveway, we just create something in the back for the car to park over there.
Okay. I'm just going to take a moment and look at your deed.
Yes. Yeah, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So there's a 10-foot shared common right-of-way between you and the next property.
Yes.
Which usually means you both own to the middle.
Yes.
So, all right. Tell me a little bit about your project and what you're looking to do.
I'm looking to make it as a duplex, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom each on each side, each duplex. And the main goal is to upgrade the house back to standard. And then I'm just an investor, so I can put it back in the market.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're looking to take and do some work to the property and then sell it and put it back on the market?
Yes.
What do you, what kind of work do you think has to be done on the building?
So based on when I went through into the house, I feel like everything needs to be done. To be honest with you, the whole interior needs to be upgraded, the kitchen, the bedrooms, all the electric, the plumbing system, and because since it's going to be a duplex, like fire alarm settings need to be implemented into the building. Yes.
Are there any structural issues with the property?
No.
Foundation?
No. Like structural, they mean like to break something?
Yeah. Does the sill need to be reinforced? Do any of the beams need to be reinforced?
No.
Is the roof in good condition?
Yes.
Okay. So a lot of interior work and a lot of systems work.
Correct.
Windows?
Windows, for
Yeah.
sure, because since it's been abandoned, some windows need to be replaced. And then what I'm trying to do, even the doors, they all need to be replaced and reinforced.
Okay.
Yes.
What's the source of your funding for this project?
It's my lender, so I got a loan to do the whole project. So everything has been put, just waited for the permit to be approved, so the job could start as ASAP.
Okay. And have they reviewed and approved the scope of work that you're going to do and the budget for it?
Yes. I already budget like $200,000 for the whole job.
Is that renovation cost or cost to purchase and renovation?
For the cost and renovation, it would be like $280, $285, around that. So I was put like misdemeanors. I also add like $15,000 more. Yeah. So it took like $290 for everything.
How much?
$290 for cost and buying.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So just because everything in the real estate world is a little crazy right now.
Yes, materials is so skyrocketing
Yeah.
right now.
Have you reviewed the project in light of changing interest rates? Is your funding set? Have you looked at the market fluctuation? Is this still a viable project?
Yes, I have. That's why I want to keep it as a duplex, because with the standard I want to do the job, I'm going to make profit. It's going to sell back like really quick, because based on the neighborhood, then it's a good neighborhood with the prices. That is really good. So if I do according to my project with the amount I have and the money to put back into work, I'm going to increase the value of the property. Yeah.
Okay. So on the plan that you gave us, there are 3 parking spaces, and they're all in the front, not in the back.
Yes, on the front.
Okay. And I apologize, because sometimes it's a little hard to understand with the mask,
yeah.
which feel free to leave on, just I'm making sure I understand you correctly. Because I thought you said you were going to put them in the back, but I think you told me you can't put them in the back.
Yeah, in the front.
Okay. Yeah. All right, and these are 3-dimensional spaces in the front. Okay. All right. Did you have anything else you wanted to add on the project?
Like another work?
Anything else you want to tell us about what you're doing on this project?
The only most common thing I would like to do is, like, if I get granted a permit, I want to start cleaning the whole yard, which is it doesn't look good. The place doesn't look like, it just look, I won't say nasty, but it doesn't make the community looks clean.
I would agree with you. The property does not look clean.
Yeah.
It looks overgrown.
Yeah.
There's a lot of debris in the back. It does not look good.
Yeah. So whenever I pass by, because I just feel kind of way about the neighbors, how they live in such, like the environment is not good for habitation. So if I could grant that, I could start a job, like, because my guys are already ready to start a job.
What is your plan if the board denies the permit?
It would just ruin my business plan as business investment, because I already got so much money to put back to the project. So it's going to ruin everything.
It's difficult when we have something that's come before us before and been denied, and then the property gets sold and somebody who wasn't a part of the first application comes in and looks for a permit and doesn't know about what had happened before. I don't know whether it happened in this case, but the building owners, when we deny an application, they're supposed to put that on record at the Registry of Deeds.
Yeah.
And when we deny, a lot of the time they don't. And then even if you, as you should, get an attorney and get legal advice when you buy a new property, do a title search, it doesn't always come up. I would encourage you, and I don't know how much history you have with renovation, when you're looking at a prospective property, get a letter from the building commissioner called a zoning determination letter, and that will tell you what the problems are. So, for instance, that if somebody sold you this as a 4-family, you would have known that you would have had to do all this to convert it to a 2.
Yes, I I did. I came over at the building department, which they were a very great guy. They helped me a lot because they told me the problem that since it's a 4-family, they need a more parking spot. But he mentioned since I'm going to duplex, it will not be an issue because I already got 3 and I can make one in the back. So when I found out that, because I paid some money for that, and they told me the advice, that's why I moved forward with the project.
Okay.
Yes.
Have you done any other renovation projects in the area?
Not in Fishback, but in Rhode Island. I'm specializing with Island a lot, so I do over there. Yes.
You're a supervisor with?
Rhode Island, like the state of Rhode Island. So I've done one. I've done a couple, 2 in Lowell.
2 in Lowell?
Yes.
Would you mind giving us the 2 addresses?
Yeah, the house I live in, 93 Temple Street.
And just the address on that again?
93 Temple Street.
What street?
93.
Can you spell it?
93 Temple.
Oh, Temple.
Yes.
Okay.
9th
Thank you.
Street?
93. My home address, the house I use.
93 Temple Street, Lowell.
Okay, 93. Any other properties?
Yeah, I did one in, I saw that one in 307, so property, just let me double check that. The one in 307 Pawtucket Boulevard. And I also did, the recent one I just did is in Rhode Island. Providence.
In Providence?
Yes. I just saw that in September.
307 Pawtucket Boulevard.
Yeah.
That's in
Boulevard.
Lowell, yeah.
Yeah, Lowell.
Okay,
And,
thank you.
The recent one I just saw is in 270 Killing Street, Providence.
270 Killings Street?
Killing like kill and ing, and then L-I-Y.
Killing Street. Okay,
In Providence. I just saw that one in September.
thank you.
Yes.
Killingly.
Yes.
Killingly.
Bingley.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I am sorry.
It's all right.
I am so sorry. So we just, I think I would be interested, and I'm sure other board members may be interested at looking what your work has been on other properties, and that's the reason for the questions. We will, when we get a property investor in here and wants to take an abandoned building, our concern is that they're going to take the least cost method of doing a renovation. And the building at, for instance, 324 Lunenburg that we revoked just a moment ago is an example where that had happened. So, we would want to know that you were experienced enough and had sufficient funding and had an appropriate budget. So, in other words, that, not that it's going to cost $50,000 and I have $50,000, but I know it's going to cost $200,000 and I have
Yes.
funding available.
I do have all my fundings. I can give proof of that if you want me to.
So it may be one of the things that we're going to look for.
Okay.
This property is, to me, a difficult property because of its location in the small lot. But what I'm going to do at this point in time is open it up to other board members and see if anybody has any questions for you or any comments.
Okay.
Mr. Burns, would you like to start?
I see 3. What?
You have an echo.
Too close to you.
Yeah.
I see up on the bulletin board here, we have our 3 parking spaces. And you claim you're going to have another parking space in the back on that deck that needs to be cleaned off with the leaves. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Where are you going to put the snow after it's shoveled from that street that runs between, or your right-of-way that runs between the 2 houses and the parking lot that's in the front and the parking lot that's in the back, where does the snow go?
You mean like the road in between? Talk about a
Sorry, I
shared.
can't hear you.
You talk about a shared driveway.
Well, all the snow removal, so the spaces in the front, when you remove snow, where are you going to put the snow?
Yeah, but the problem with the one at the front, the one at the front, let's say if it does snow, we can push it back to the main road, or you can put it to the side, because at the side there's a road that you can go up. So at the corner of the land, there's a little bit of space.
I don't think in a large snowstorm that's going to be enough room. But there's no room, is the answer, I guess.
Because even at the back, there's so much room at the back where the leaves are. Because if one car is there, this other side close to the wall, because it's like a pavement over there. It's a high wall to the side. You can push the snow all the way at the far end.
Yeah, that's for the backyard, but what about the front yard?
So that's what I'm saying. At the front yard, there's a little part, there's an entrance. You can push it to this side either.
You're going to put your back on the house?
No, on the house, on this side, on the road.
And how big that house, wide is that?
I'm going to say that looks like perhaps 2 feet between the parking space and the road, maybe 3.
If he's going back on that 101-foot place back there, that's an awful... No, he's not going to do that. Okay. No, there's not enough room to put any snow in there if we get any snow of any consequence. No, I don't have any more questions. It's fine.
Okay. Mr. Chartrand?
Who does all of your work? Do you have a crew that does it, or are you doing it? Obviously, you have electrician and plumber, but how much workforce do you have? Is it you're going to do it all yourself, or
No.
You have guys to do it?
Yeah, I have a crew. I have like 4 guys.
Okay. How long do you think it's going to take you to do something like that?
Pretty 4 to 5 months project.
Okay.
Yes.
So, I mean, I'll be honest with you. Not a fan of the 2-family layout for this one. This one's just tough. It's tough for me to wrap my head around. I've been in that building many times, and the parking is right on the road. And like Joe said, we're going to have some trouble with snow. That's a very busy road. We definitely have to take that into consideration. Have you put any thought or design into making it a single-family home?
If I make that home a single family, I'm going to lose a lot of money. And
you don't think you'll be able to survive if you make it a single?
Because they won't buy that based on that. It's a very big. The interior is very large for single family. Means I'm going to put like 4 bed or 5 bedrooms, which is wasteful. And then if I put that back in the market, I will get.
Well, I agree with you. The layout is kind of.
And
for the 2,000 square feet it has, the layout is not good, but you're basically going to have to reconfigure the entire layout to do this project as a 2 anyway.
Because for
those are really my only concerns are just, the parking over there is tight. Putting a spot in the back, you're planning on using the right-of-way to get back there, or you want to get a curb cut?
No, it's just a drive-through way to go to the back.
Up Burnett, you said you want to turn off that?
Yeah.
Have you talked to DPW if will let you do that?
You can't.
There's no way.
Right.
It's like a
Because the
14-foot
distance
drop?
between the grade on Burnett and the rear is probably 15 feet.
Right, it goes up, yeah.
So it's not
I mean,
feasible.
I'm just saying that because I know the DPW does not always do curb cuts. A lot of people think, I'll just park here. They might not allow it. So then you'd be left with just the 3 spots for the 2 units.
Because I would have found out with the guy, and he said he gave me some number to call. I called, but it went on voicemail. He said if the guy will do it, it's a possibility for me to have 1 parking spot at the back because it's just a single car at the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, if you were utilizing the right-of-way, I could see it, but coming off of Burnett, I don't think that's even possible. Those are really my only concerns. It's a tough lot. It's difficult.
I think you'd need a car elevator to get it off of Burnett.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
that
that's the problem
steep.
that this property has always had, is the parking. It's never been good.
Yeah. Mr. McLaughlin, any comments or questions?
Oh, thank you. Yes, I was on the board when this property was before us. I think it was 2018 or 19. So, same concerns as originally, but I always have open eyes and ears for a new project. I'm a little concerned about the fact that, you know, we're just able to get some parking in front. I'm a little concerned that the car to the left, or the proposed parking spot, and this, again, was the plan that was provided to us by the previous applicant, that the parking spot would put the vehicle right in front of the stairs, in the front of the property. I'd be willing to offer continuance to revisit the property and look at the site with regards to parking in the rear, and didn't look too deep at that. But it's, again, very small lot, not a lot of space, no green space, no apparent place for snow storage, and, you know, as we all know, the primary reason for zoning is to look at lessen congestion in the streets and provide adequate housing. So I'd like to look at this again. And
Mr. Gallagher, any questions?
Thank you, Christine. No, everything's been covered by previous board members, although I don't know how feasible this suggestion is, but in terms of snow removal, the only safe way to handle a lot like that and manage the snow removal is actually to have it removed from the lot. You can't plow it to the corner of the road and block the vision from people coming out of Burnett Street onto Water Street. So,
Another thing we have to be mindful of is the fact that the applicant is going to do this project and sell it and move on. So we have to make sure that anything we look at is able to be sustainable in the future. So, but I'm looking favorable at the request, but I'm willing to make another site visit or move for a vote, however the board feels.
We all want to take notice, too, on the site proposed parking plan that we have here in front of us. If you look where the gas meters are on the house next door, and the house next door is right on that 10-foot line that the right-of-way is on.
It looks like
I did notice.
And it looks like they've noted even there's balusters there. See, there's 3 dots and 3 dots.
Yeah.
But that further impedes the 10-foot access.
A car getting through there.
May I, sorry to intervene. I think the house next door is a 3-family, and they have the same parking spot just like the duplex I'm trying to do right now. So the question is, they all park their cars there, and they have been living there for a very long time. So if the concern is about where my snow goes, how about the 3-family at the site? Where do they keep how do they do that snow as well? Like, I'm trying to think about it.
I think that's going to be a good thing to observe, but, you know, that actually, the intensity of the neighborhood, the fact that there's a 3-family right next to you and there's a 4+ family right next to that, there's a lot of people parking in that neighborhood on a very busy street, on a narrow street. And the people who park on your lot would only add to that. They would also be, as far as I can tell from my visit, they would need to back out onto Water Street in order to leave the property. So now we have people backing out onto a busy road every time. And the reason that it's different for the 3-family next door to you is because the 3-family was never abandoned. It was never abandoned, so it gets to continue using, and we don't have any control over stopping or moderating that. Where this property was abandoned, it lost its protection, it's lost its entitlement. And that's why you're back here, why you're here before us at all. So,
Another question I do have is, if I also go back to a single family, so is it going to be the same thing? You can't have to back up.
I'd actually disagree with you, because I do think that if it was a single family, you're going to need 2 spaces, and 2 spaces can probably go in the back.
In the back? But I thought he said to go to the corner in the back, going to be an obstruction. So how to space go in the back?
If you use the common driveway to get back there, assuming that you can get by the meters, I think you can. Somebody going back there can come out, turn around in the front before they leave.
Because you could park tandem, if it's a household, but you might have 2 to do side by side even.
See, what most likely occurred over the years is this was probably a single-family home, right? Over time, it was probably illegally converted into small units. People started parking out front. It's notated on this old plan that there is pavement underneath everything in the backyard. So probably at one time, there was some green space out front and the cars parked in the rear. So when the board looks at applications, we don't look at an application to say, just because it was or what it became is good for the city in the future. Okay? And you make some good points. Next door, there is some congestion. And these things evolve over time. And the board has to take a look at, based on the zoning bylaws, what's in the best interest of the city. Unfortunately, we see a lot of applicants that purchase these abandoned buildings without doing a lot of due diligence to find out what they're capable of, and then they have to come to the board for some relief. So, we look at your application seriously. We have to make a decision that's best based on the city's interest and the bylaws that are before us.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when these things were, as Mike said, change over time, we used to have a bunch of factories just like Lowell where you could walk to work.
Yeah.
So that's the problem with all of the parking throughout the city. And what we don't want is to go to like a permit parking situation where only residents can park with vouchers. And so we're trying to avoid that as best as possible. But so, I mean, if we slowly chip away at that, that's what will happen. That's what we'll end up with. We'll have no parking. Like you said, there's already a lot of cars there, unfortunately. And that Burnett Street is a cliff. It goes straight up. And that's a tough corner to make when you're in a car. And there's a lot of accidents coming down that street in the wintertime. That one and what's the other one? There's one right around the corner from that one that the cars crash all the time. Albee?
No, Albie's up further. Yeah,
Well, on the
it
bend,
is Albie.
though.
Yeah.
The other one that comes
Albee,
down on the
Canton.
water. Canton, yeah. So I'm like, we get a lot of that. So like you said, with the snow, it's a tough property for me.
Is there any prospect that you would be able to provide parking on a different space? There is, across the street from you, there's a very large parking lot.
Means I do have to buy something from the person and...
Or an easement. You could do an easement.
Or quite a long-term lease. I
Yeah,
would think
something like
would
that's
also-
long-term lease, but easement would be preferred, because you're renovating it, and you're gonna sell it. So whatever you would create, we'd want it to convey. If you were able to create something like that, it'd have to convey. Which I don't know if you could, because many people have probably tried before you, and that building across the street changes hands pretty rapidly as well. There's always a cast of characters that are owning that one as well.
It's another reason an easement is a good suggestion, would carry with the land.
I'd like to explore, like Mike said, taking a really deep look at the back and the right-of-way and seeing if we can make something work for you.
All right, because when I did my research, they said since it's a 4-family, the 3 parking in this front is going to be limited. But if I bring it down,
Is that how they sold it to you, as a 4-family?
yeah, that's how. If you put the house online, because that's how it was being online, and based on my knowledge, I don't know how true this is. If they have to sell a property, the city knows if it's single family or multi-family or so.
You have an attorney?
I did.
Did they do their due diligence with research on the deeds?
Yeah, he did a review. Even my lender went over there and did the review, and it was shown as for a family. And we talked about it. So I mentioned that I'm going to bring like a duplex. And then, and then he's like, that's what they drafted. Like, since the 3 parking spot at the front, we can create something in the back, which that would be successful. So that's why I proceed with the project.
So if you're, I think you hear from this board that there's a lot of trepidation, there's a lot of board members who have a concern about allowing this at all. If you would like to proceed, it may mean that you put some more time and money into this project, but there's no guarantee the board would vote in your favor. Do you want to, and what I'd be looking for if we investigated this further is a site visit that includes a look at the interior of the property, because I do want to understand what the scope of renovations needed is going to be.
Okay.
I would want to get a copy of your budget and some proof of the funding necessary to meet that budget. I don't like to take a lot of financial information in here, but something. I am probably going to take a look at some of the other properties you've renovated. Okay. And I would want to know that you've put some thought into snow removal or alternate parking arrangements. So those are the things I would be looking for. Other board members' suggestions?
Yeah, like I said, I'd have to take a deep dive into go look at it again. I mean, you're going to reconfigure this thing completely. Like you said, it was chopped up into pieces, over the years. So with your layout, the only way it would make sense is to move everything and fix it. But you need the parking. Because every other option for you is not one you're going to like. I mean, you could heat that driveway and then you wouldn't have to worry about the snow at all. But who's going to want to do that? No one's going to want to do that. So,
Mr. Gallagher, any questions or things you'd wanted to see addressed?
I think we've covered everything so far. Thank you, Christine.
Okay, thank you.
Satisfied.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It doesn't look like the board is looking at this very favorably. I wouldn't want to burden the applicant with too much cost, but I would like to say I don't want this to go on for months like some of the other cases. I'd like to give the applicant the benefit of the doubt, make another site visit, and really pay some attention to, I wasn't aware of the easement in between the buildings, and to look at the rear of the property, and then maybe we can meet again at the next meeting or in March.
February.
Before I would even say, request a further parking plan for parking in the rear if we're not even going to.
If it isn't going to work.
Go down that path.
Yeah, don't do it till we have to.
We would only be able to do February if we had a second meeting. There's too much on the agenda.
Okay, March.
The alternative would be to change the application to a single family. And I think the board, has some sympathy for the fact that you bought this property and you're now stuck with a problem that you didn't anticipate. I would also suggest that you might go back and look at what the economics would be of a necessary single-family renovation, and think about that. But if you want to try to proceed, then what we would need you to do is provide those items that we'd look for, and we would conduct a site visit. We would be informal, which means that an appointment is scheduled through the building department, probably broken up between a couple of members at a time. Okay.
All right. So just to be clear, you want me to provide a budget for the...
So a budget for the renovation,
Yes.
some proof of financing showing that you can do that budget, you can meet that budget.
Okay.
You've given us your projected timeline to completion, which is 4 to 5 months.
Okay.
Okay. A plan for snow removal, dealing with the snow? And a plan which looks at parking in the rear or some alternative parking other than what you've given us. Did I get everything? Okay. All right. So would you, for now, what we would do is schedule a continuance till the March meeting. March meeting is March 14, okay? We would expect that if you want to proceed, that you're going to provide us with these items in the meantime and schedule the site visit.
So should I bring others proof like March 14, or I should bring them before that?
Oh, no. Please send them as soon as you have them.
All right, I'll drop it at the building department.
One of the worst things is when we get documents on the night of the meeting and have to look
Okay.
at them.
All right.
Yeah.
And I know I just spoke to you before about single, but if you think about it, you'll be one kitchen as opposed to two kitchens. You have one heating source as opposed to two heat. You know what I mean? So the cost is going to go way down as far as that. So just think about it. I guess that's all I can say is look at the numbers, look at them carefully, because that would cut your cost. And
It would cut my costs, which
if you think you could still make it work, that's kind of where it would go, because the building code has also changed. So what you're proposing, it's going to be quite extensive as far as what you have to do. The new energy code came into effect January 1st.
Oh, yeah?
So if you do more than 1,000 square feet or you do more than 100% of the square footage, you have to meet the code entirely. That is new as of this year. So it will be expensive. It's going to increase costs in houses. You'll have to get a HERS rater now to do this project, and that's $1,500 just for the rater. But you have to air seal. There's a lot of requirements now. And when guys doing renovations, the state has tightened up that stuff dramatically this year.
So if you, I think that the best course of action.
So now
would
you
be-
have to, if you do 1,000 square feet or you do 100% of the square footage, you have to meet the code in its entirety.
Yeah, but you said something was put in as.
Gentlemen, I'd like
we'll
to
discuss
finish
that
the
in the end.
meeting. So I'd suggest that you use you look at that, whether you want to switch to a single-family home first off.
Okay.
Before
Okay.
you, because I think that might be looked on much more favorably by the board.
Okay, so if I go a single family, much easier.
Yeah. Well, so if you decide to change to a single family, all you need to do is let the building department know that's what you're going to do. We'll need a little bit of change in your plans because you're going to show us parking for only 2 cars, and the interior is going to be different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different.
So I think getting that updated and to the building department so that it can be viewed by the board before March 14th would be good.
Okay.
If you are going to stick with the two-family plan, please make sure you schedule the site visit and follow up on the items that we talked about.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
I'm going to look for a motion to continue this application, please, and I'm going to ask you to sign an extension agreement, which means it extends our deadlines because we're not making a decision tonight.
Okay.
Okay? So if you could come up here just for a moment and sign this. That line. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Could I have a motion, please? Mr. Chartrand, could I have a motion?
A motion to continue this hearing until March 14th, 2023.
Do I have- Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Unanimously. We'll see you in March and maybe before. Good luck with your plans. Okay? All right. I believe there is no other business before this board tonight unless anyone has something to raise. Oh.
Madam Chair?
Boss.
Yes, Mr. Barbadaro, are you referring to the fact that we didn't elect any officers?
I was wondering, do you have to continue the for the trailer meeting? Have you?
We'll take a vote on it simply because we will. Opening ZBA 2022-36 on 41 Ringe Road and ZBA 2022-35 on 1341 Ringe Road, seeing no one before us, and I believe nobody in the virtual audience. Nope.
I'll make a motion for continuance for next month, I believe. Is it on for next month?
Yes.
Okay, so that would be February 14th, 2023.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. That matter is continued. We now need to apparently elect officers of the board.
I'll nominate Madam Chair to continue as the
Second
chair
that.
for,
I second that.
for another
I
year.
nominate Mike as a vice chair.
I'll second that.
Okay?
Everyone in favor of those nominations?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. None opposed? We are so elected for another
You need a clerk.
fabulous year.
You need a clerk.
We need a clerk? All right, I nominate Mr. Joe Byrne to serve as our clerk.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations, Mr. Clerk.
Now I have to get sworn in.
You just did.
No, I think we're done. Mr. Barbadaro, any other business before us?
No, that's all.
Thank you so much.
That's all, folks.
All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
So move. Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. The meeting is hereby adjourned. The next regular meeting of this body is
Set
February
records.
14th,
Yeah, so that new-
2023 at 6 p.m.
The new code.